Hello, everybody. Do you know that unconscious programs, which you are not even aware of, are running your life and causing problems and challenges that keep you from living your best life? I'm Dr. Olga Stevko, and it is exciting to be here with my three wonderful clients who have transformed these unconscious programs and experienced amazing positive shifts. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm from Northern California.
Hi, I'm Kelani and I'm from North Dakota.
Hello, my name is Lisa and I'm from Northern California in Marin County.
Thank you. And neuroscience has shown that 95% of our life experiences are shaped by unconscious programs. Unconscious programs are caused by childhood traumas and traumas passed down genealogically as transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. These unconscious programs affect nervous system responses that impact both body and mind. This phenomenon creates a wide variety of physiological, physical, mental, and emotional conditions, from insomnia and anxiety to premature aging and struggles with communication, even health conditions. Unconscious programs also influence how people perceive themselves, others, and the world around them. And transforming unconscious programs changes how the nervous system reacts to everything that triggers flight, fight, and freeze responses, and how people look, think, feel, react, and behave. And I prepared some questions. And my first question is, what issues, problems, limitations did you work on during sessions? And what positive shifts, changes, results did you experience after sessions? And I will start with Jenny.
So I've had a lot of sessions with Olga, and there have been so many changes. So I thought I would just go over a few of the main, like the biggest changes that I saw. So one of the first sessions I did with Olga, we worked on like this, almost like an inability to express myself, like truly from my essence, from my, like authentically. And after that session, I noticed a huge shift, which was that not only was I don't know that I like noticed like my expression changed, but rather I noticed that I started to feel really comfortable in social environments. And I've kind of just like got comfortable in my skin. So I found that it was really this big change of all of a sudden feeling like I was myself. And it's a very subtle shift, and it's a really profound one at the same time when you start to no longer feel like an actor in your life. And I don't know even really how to explain that, except that you can always have an intention of wanting to be authentic and desiring to express yourself in a way that other people can understand. And then it's just a different thing when you actually embody that change, where you just like sit in a room with friends and family, and all of a sudden you notice, wow, I don't feel like I need to put on a show. I don't need to act. I don't need to like think about how other people are going to receive me. I started to feel more confident in myself. And that was one of the very first sessions that I had with Olga. After that session, I also noticed that I was sleeping very deeply. And when I was falling asleep, my mind was very clear. My worries at the end of the day were gone. And I just felt a sense of lightness. So that was such a profound shift that I really feel like I could spend the entire time just talking about that one session, because it's very hard to like quantify that change, but it's just the experience of just really enjoying yourself and who you are. I guess that's like it has to do with self-expression, but I think it also, there's a layer of like self-love, self-acceptance. Olga, did you want me to just kind of like keep going?
Please continue. After we can talk later about some unconscious programs that cause certain issues. What I experience during my sessions with my clients who had similar programs.
Okay. So I'll just keep going. And I guess if I take up too much time, you can stop me at any time.
No, please take any time you need.
Okay. Let's see. There's so many like profound changes that I'm going to talk about next, like probably one that has had the biggest impact in my life. And that is the session where I worked on, I was having a lot of conflict with my partner at the time. And we had a very tumultuous relationship. And so I was actually in crisis during the session because we were having a lot of conflict, a lot of really like battling out a child custody situation. So I was feeling very hopeless. I was feeling very stressed out about our contentious relationship, our communication. I was feeling alone and really, I really didn't have, I just didn't believe that things could change. It was that bad. So during that session, you know, I came into the session feeling very, very stressed out from this hopeless situation. And as the weeks progressed after the session, what I noticed was a complete turnaround. The way that, first of all, from my own perspective, when I would speak to him, if he would say something that was unpleasant, instead of turning into a ball of stress and reacting and feeling just reactionary towards his, you know, his words, I started to feel more neutral towards his words. But then this other really deeply wonderful thing happened, which was that we started to get along, and he started treating me very differently. And I think that that was, I wasn't expecting that at all. So, so many positive changes happened in that session. I noticed that he and I would start to communicate and have some, like, we would joke and we would start talking about our son and kind of leave some of the heavier topics that were contentious. You know, we were addressing those issues, but with more of like a lightheartedness. So, I mean, I really can't express how incredible this shift was in my life. Because I went from having an all-out, just almost like a war. It was like the war of the sexes, but also like this, you know, this conflict of man and woman, not understanding each other, like triggering each other, projecting onto each other, to, yeah, having a very kind of more respectful relationship. And this was a situation where my ex-partner was actually had been very verbally abusive towards me. So it was very strange to all of a sudden have him be respectful and kind. And really nothing changed except for the fact that I had this session with you, Olga. So I find that so interesting. And it's like someone waved a magic wand. I feel like it's kind of hard to explain, but in the shifts that I made in the session, it's like he, I don't know if it was consciously or unconsciously, just decided that he wanted to be nice towards me. And that is incredible. So.
And can I please say something here? First of all, you talked about kind of self-expression and becoming more authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some unconscious programs can cause even thought formation. Like, for example, people cannot find precise words or completely like clear thoughts. And also it can affect, some programs can create neuromuscular locks in body and create kind of tension, spasms in muscles that, for example, that take part in breathing and creating voice. And if there are a lot of neuromuscular locks in the area where diaphragm between ribs muscles are, your throat, it won't produce enough air to go through vocal cords, and voice can be weak, airy, for example, not strong. And also some people experienced, as a result, having some unconscious programs, kind of choking sensations in neck, throat, and also feeling as if they have kind of a barrier or lump or ball in the throat as a result of neuromuscular locks. And in this case, it can affect your speech and communication. And also, when unconscious programs are transformed, people, without trying, they become very authentic. And it happened to many of my clients. And of course, you can express yourself more diplomatically, like when you have higher emotional intelligence, you understand the situation, what's going on. And even some unconscious programs cause some people do not have high emotional intelligence. And also in relationships, some unconscious programs won't allow to connect on a deep level. And also won't allow to have clear communication and to stand up for yourself in a more nice way, yet strong. And that's why, Jenny, what you were talking about, suddenly your partner became nice, because when unconscious programs are transformed, how you are, how you project yourself, like in any way, like your energy, your expression of face, what you say, how you say, will create a situation or situations when that person won't dare anymore to do what she or he did before. Does it make sense?
Yeah, and it's so fascinating because the communications that my ex-partner and I were having was mainly through text, email, and phone. So it wasn't even face-to-face, but even then there was like a shift, you know, like we didn't even have to be looking at each other, but there was like a softening and a kindness. So it was very much like energetic, you know, like this shift that happened wasn't even like we were seeing each other and seeing each other's, you know, faces and smiles or anything like that. It was, yeah, truly amazing. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
Would you like me to continue?
Yes, please.
Oh my goodness, what to talk about. Well, I feel like each session kind of built upon the previous. And so there were many sessions that were kind of, I would say that they had a common theme of like self-love, self-worth, self-esteem. And it's really interesting because prior to doing the sessions with Olga, I thought of myself as quite a confident and positive and loving person. And as we went through the sessions, we just started to like sift things to the surface. And I think like there were various themes. Like one was a feeling of sadness and loneliness. There was a session we worked on not feeling like loved or feeling loved enough. And then there was another session, I forget exactly, I think it was feeling like loved, and like that I was like maternal love was available to me as a child. So I feel like all these sessions really went back to childhood and, you know, how I developed into myself. So it had to do with like identity as well. So is it okay if I just kind of talk about those themes in general, as opposed to like each session by session?
Of course, in whatever way you would like to do it, Jenny.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, so, you know, while I always thought of myself as someone who is like loving and confident and had, you know, expression, it wasn't until after the session where there were certain qualities or certain emotions that like just disappeared, that I realized, you know, how much, I guess I just realized like there was so much room to grow in those areas. So when it came to, let's see, feeling lonely and sad, I had this sense of always being like too sensitive or different, that I couldn't quite fit in, or people didn't understand me. And it's interesting because once you do this work with Olga, you actually forget what it's like to be your old self. So it's kind of like hard to even like access that past. But for most of my life, I would say that I really struggled to like belong and fit in. And I like carved out a little niche for myself and surrounded myself with people who I felt like really got me. But often when I was in a room or even with my family, even though I felt like this sense of connection, there was always like this little like nagging sense of I'm alone. And it's so, because it's unconscious and because it's something that you are so familiar with, it almost just is, it's not something that you're aware of, you know. But after we did the session, I just like deepened even more into that sense of, I would just say like feeling happy. Really, like, I think that's the easiest way to put it. I started to feel like more outgoing, more willing to try new things, more interested in connecting with others. I noticed that I, in the past, would be, if someone made a critical remark or comment, it could make me feel very sad and shut down. And after doing that session, like a couple of instances arrived where I think it was a family member shared some criticism, and I realized that I wasn't affected by that, and I was able to just observe what they were saying and look at it with neutrality. And I think that that's really like what I would say about every single session is that my capacity for joy rises and increases with every session. And my neutrality to what I used to perceive as negative emotions decreases with every session. And so with every session, no matter what it is that we're working on, I just like feel like there's more I'm stepping deeper into my soul purpose, and I'm happier, and I feel like more connected to love and joy, but authentically and in a sense of embodiment, as opposed to just like, oh, that's so nice. Like I can think about love and peace and joy, you know, as concepts. It's no longer conceptual. It's just simply embodiment. And the session when we worked on like self-love, I noticed like very, very subtle things. I started to exercise, and instead of like, you know, kind of feeling like, oh, I begrudgingly like, I have to exercise because this is good for me and I need to stay fit. I just started to like exercise purely for the joy of exercise. So I don't know, that it's like so profound and yet so super simple, you know, just being able to really enjoy taking care of yourself because you're like, wow, I'm really worth it. It feels good. But I think something else I'd love to share just overall in the journey is that even in sessions when my focus was more on an emotional or mental construct, I always received like these huge physical benefits. And that's something that I found, like my immune system, my nervous system, little nagging like aches and pains that I had in my body for 20 years just kind of disappeared. I used to be like so sensitive to caffeine that I couldn't drink coffee after 11, or else I would be like laying awake in bed until like 2 a.m. in the morning. And I noticed after the sessions, I could drink coffee and then fall asleep. I had some joint pain that went away. I noticed like my ligaments got tighter. And so I was able to jump higher, run faster. I just have noticed like a rejuvenation of my body as a whole. And there's one other, I don't want to take up any more time. I just wanted to talk really about more on the physical level. One of the most profound sessions I had was working on I had a C-section about 6 years ago, and my body never regained full recovery after the C-section, which actually I feel is quite common. I hear this from a lot of moms who had C-sections. They always still talk about like numbness and maybe like, you know, lack of abdominal strength. But in my situation, I had tried everything. I had gone to get cold laser, chiropractic, acupuncture, energy healing. And, you know, 6 years later, I still felt very, a lot of tenderness and pain in the scar, and still had a lot of issues with like general weakness in my abs. I had, you know, a hard time just getting up off the floor because it felt very, my body just felt very heavy, and using like coordinating all my muscles and just getting my pelvic floor, my abs to work together always felt like very disconnected. So I did a session where I worked specifically on the inability, or like the inability of my body to heal that C-section. And that was just a profound improvement. A week after the session, I went skiing for the first time in a decade. And I was so surprised that I was strong enough to ski. I was absolutely sure that I was going to feel sore after, and I wasn't sore at all. And it was just, it's like the yummiest feeling after you have a session and your body just starts to like, almost like sew itself back together from deep within, where your body just goes into this like deep core healing. It is like a snowball rolling down a hill, like you can't stop it. It's just happening. And it's just this really beautiful thing. There's so many more. Do you want me to continue, or should I hand
Yes, please. And if you can, Jenny, can you please share? Because some of my clients experience similar, like what benefits you got in your business as a result of transforming unconscious programs? Because
sure, yeah, we can talk about that. So this was pretty recently that we worked on, I did 2 sessions around my business. The first one was, I was having like this big block when it came to marketing my business and marketing myself. So I was feeling every single time I went to do something for marketing, a lot of anxiety would arise. And I would literally like try to do anything but market myself. So I did this session with Olga, and one of the things that happened after we did the session is that anytime I went to promote myself, whether it was like writing a newsletter or, creating a plan for my Instagram account or just like picking up the phone and calling customers, it was as if all my anxiety and worries just like melted away. And, I'm more of an introvert. So it was like such a relief to feel like that block removed. So I think the week after the session, I talked to more customers than I had talked to in like a whole year during COVID. I was excited to reach out to people, and I was, bouncing ideas off with my reps, and, just it felt like a big boulder had been lifted. And then the second part is I did a session with Olga regarding just like I'm at a stage in my business where we've been around for, 14 years, and we've had ups and downs. We've had amazing success. And then we've had like, COVID, right? Where many, like more than half of our stores closed down. So there've been peaks and valleys with the business. And I wanted to do a session working on exponential growth for the company. And also like, I wanted to work on stepping out and really being in the spotlight. And I explained to Olga that, I've been searching now for many years for the right digital marketing person. And that person never materialized. So after the session, I think 3 really amazing things happened. One, I found like a digital marketing agency that was right under my nose. A friend of mine, I talked to a friend of mine who had been doing digital marketing for like a decade. And I told her about, what had happened in the business with COVID and this desire to do more like direct to consumer marketing. And so I signed on with her, and now I have an entire team helping me with digital marketing. And I feel great about that. I also met this amazing creative director who's now helping me with a lot of visual branding and beautiful photography for my website. And then unexpectedly, we got a little press from Instagram, which was completely unexpected. So what I wanted was to like get into the spotlight. And so I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 days later after the session, the CEO of Nextdoor highlighted my business on her Instagram feed. And really, we had not gotten much attention for a while. So I definitely attribute this session to the increase in all the business activity. It's almost as if by magic. But now, after having all these sessions with Olga, I know it's not magic. There was some programming that was kind of like blocking, being visible and kind of being celebrated. So we addressed that in the session, and like, voila, just all this magic happened. So it's super, super fun. Just, yeah, that's, sorry, I just feel like I'm like going on and on and on.
Thank you, Jenny. I have some comments. Okay. First of all, I looked it up for so many positive shifts in different areas. You had only 18 group sessions. And we worked on multiple issues. Yes, you are talking about only some, we worked on multiple issues. And also, this methodology that I created, it brings very fast, sometimes dramatic and permanent results. And you don't need to try to do anything or to do some techniques or exercises. When unconscious programs are resolved, you don't have this issue anymore. And some people even forget they had it. And about business, what you shared about, thank you. I had other clients who experienced very fast business became to thrive. And your business is you. And in your case, for example, it was a program not being comfortable to be on a spotlight. Isn't it interesting? And even that can create issues. And that program could be passed even genealogically. Now science shows that unresolved traumas and limitations can pass genealogically as transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. And when something reminds what happened during genealogical memories to your ancestors, genes can express, and you might have the same symptoms that are not really yours. And I remember some of my clients, I cannot explain how, recalled some kind of a sense what happened in some genealogical memories to their ancestors. And for example, I remember one client told he got a sense it happened something like 3 or more generations ago. And something happened to his ancestor who said something wrong in a society. And as a result of that, he asked to leave and never come back. Like he lost a lot of friendships. And even my client got a sense even kind of could not do his business the same way. And isn't it interesting that unconscious program that passed as a result of that to him created a sense it's not safe or there are negative consequences if you're in a spotlight. And in this case, unconsciously, people are protecting themselves to bring attention to themselves, to be on a spotlight. And as a result of resolving some unconscious programs, suddenly things become more like they do not take the same effort, or people do not procrastinate anymore, or it does not seem difficult anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say that your entire process is easy. Everything about it is easy.
And also the results.
The results.
Experience, not anymore, it's hardship, it's hard, difficult, takes a lot of effort. Suddenly not anymore.
Right, it's an effortless shift that happens. And
that shifts themselves. How you do things, they're not anymore. They do not seem like they have that charge, a lot of effort, a lot of trying, difficult.
All you really have to do is show up at the session and just make a wish of what you want to change in your life, and pretty much it does. And I know, Olga, I've introduced I think at least 15 of my friends to you, and they've all had beautiful, amazing results, and many lives changed. And I think they would all say the same thing. It's like, it's so easy because your methodology and, you work all the magic, we just show up. So it's so different from other things, other methods. And it's not work. It's more like discovery.
Thank you. yes, my client shared that it's effortless to do this work. And also, as a result of this work, what do they experience in their life if before having those unconscious programs, they felt life is hard, for example. Even it's hard to do certain things. And as a result, they procrastinated. It was kind of sense of heaviness, hard. And transforming unconscious programs, they didn't experience it anymore in life, doing certain things.
Definitely.
Did you experience similar or not?
I definitely experienced that, and I am experiencing a lot of people who are around me, like giving me that feedback, like, wow, everything is so in the flow for you, and you know, you kind of like attract flow, and it's really interesting to just kind of watch, you know, how you're just let go and all this magic is happening. So it's kind of neat to witness that, for sure.
Thank you, Jenny. Also would like to mention, you worked on some unconscious program or programs that created kind of not belonging sense and alone. I had so many clients who experienced the same. What they describe, even around people they knew for a long time, even family members, they still felt often not belonging and alone. And it's because some unconscious programs cause it. After transforming those programs, they did not feel it anymore. It's so much coming from like unconscious level, like how people live their life.
That's why it's kind of hard to even describe what happened in the sessions, because it's hard to access and remember that feeling. But I lived with it for like 40 some years, you know, but once we did the session together, it was gone. And now it's hard for me to even recall it or remember it. It's like I'm describing this amorphous object because it's no longer with me. And I think that's like should bring a lot of people hope, because, you know, when you live with a sadness or certain feelings that are ancestral, they just feel like they're part of they're part of your DNA. You can't escape it. It's always with you, underlying, you know, everything. So in some regards, it's hard, I think, for people to even make that connection that can be removed, you know. So yeah.
Thank you, Jenny. Also, you mentioned you felt rejuvenated. And I understand now that working on unconscious programs, it reduces stress response in body, because things are happening the same in your life, or people act in certain way, your reaction will be different, completely different. It can be completely neutral to before. If you felt, for example, upset or angry or irritated, and that can completely change your nervous system response, and also create kind of prevent aging faster, and even create anti-aging effect. I had so many clients who reverse their age. By working on unconscious programs, their wrinkles were gone, eye bags were gone, even face rearranged itself because muscles shifted. They were not, they didn't experience neuromuscular locks anymore. And even some people did not recognize them. They were asking if they did plastic surgery. And even face became more kind of congruent and more symmetrical, more beautiful. Isn't it interesting?
I've experienced it firsthand, so I know what you're talking about for sure. Like lately, I've been looking in the mirror and I'm like, wow, like the wrinkles around my eyes have really, like, they're not there like they used to be, you know, they're like 80% reduced. And it's the kind of like, it's the face that you had as a child that starts to show up again. Yeah. Like just like lack of worry, just present in the moment and like wide-eyed, you know, I'm definitely noticing that for sure.
Yes, because some neuromuscular locks again that create wrinkles and deep lines. And so many of my clients reported the same results.
Yeah. There's so many things. It's like there was a time where I never thought that certain behaviors from other people, like I would ever not be bothered by those behaviors. And it's just like the little things, you know, when you live with someone for like a decade and you're like just the way that they do things can drive you crazy. Yeah. And after the sessions, I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. And you can't explain why it's no longer a trigger, but it just doesn't. Then you're just like, it's all good.
Yes, Jenny, because all of your response, it's unconscious response, unconscious. Even you promise yourself, I won't have that response around the person when the situation comes, like it's not your choice. Unconscious mind wins. And that's why in order to change that response or whatever you would like to change, you need to work on unconscious level using your unconscious mind. If you are trying to do it consciously, change your behavior, change some your style, it won't work easily or permanently. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Olga.
Would you like to add something else or it's enough for now?
Would I like to add something else? I mean, this is really the most amazing work that I've ever come across. And I feel like in every session, when you're in a group with other women, you just like every single session you hear about all of their improvements. And it's just always like miraculous and amazing to hear all the different stories. So I think that's really what I wanted to add is just like you really in every session, you just like hear more and more good news. And I feel like that's so uplifting. Yeah, not just your improvements, but like all these other wins that these ladies are experiencing. And I love that.
Thank you. And Jenny, if you did something before to help yourself, how this work, this methodology is different in your opinion?
I have been like
for example, meditations, if you did anything to
I have done everything.
Yes.
I have done everything because I've been in the natural healing space for, the last 25 years. And I would say that this is the most profound work that anyone can do. So that's why I tell everyone about your work, whether they have something that's like they feel like is an emotional challenge or a health issue. Every single person, I say to them, you need to talk to Dr. Olga. So yeah, this is completely different. It's fast. It's the fastest healing method that I've ever known of. And it's so rewarding. It's wonderful to be a part of. And yeah, it's really the best gift I've ever given myself. So
thank you so much, Jenny.
Oh, thank you, Olga. You're the best.
Oh, thank you so much. And I will ask next Lisa the same question. What issues, problems, limitations did you work on during sessions, and what positive shifts did you experience after sessions?
Yes. Well, one of my primary symptoms coming in to see you, Dr. Olga, in the group was due to a chronic illness. I have had chronic pain basically all over my body, but especially my neck and upper shoulders, and particularly upper back and spine. And that's due to, unfortunately, a chronic inflammatory response because of the illness that I'm dealing with. And, I had so much pain that I was just living every day with a very high degree of pain and having to, you know, honestly just grit my teeth and bear it, as they say. So coming into the group, I, you know, was just hoping to get even a small degree of relief would feel miraculous.
And Lisa, sorry for interrupting, for how long have you been having that pain before coming?
Yeah, I've been experiencing that degree of pain probably since I was about 23 years old, when I was first realizing that I had developed an illness that was chronic. And let's see here, that is, I mean, about 19, 20 years that I've been living with it. So a long time. Yeah, a long time. And so, you know, I often had to, you know, honestly, just sitting in a chair like this for a few hours would really be extremely painful. So when I was in the group, I think I fidgeted a lot the first time because I, you know, had a lot of pain, and we worked on the issue. And I remember really connecting it back, as Jenny mentioned as well, to not just something that was occurring in my body, but that was occurring in my genealogy, that I had come from a long line of ancestors who had struggled with physical pain and very difficult living conditions, living through wars, living through trauma. And when we really saw that through my images that I drew and some of the reflections that we had during the group, it really just illuminated everything for me, that I literally felt like I was carrying burdens that were generations long, almost like wearing an invisible backpack or knapsack that I didn't even know I was carrying, with all of these different symptoms and the results. So when we were able to work on the unconscious beliefs around pain and letting go of that burden, I was just amazed at how I felt afterwards. So after just one group, I felt about an 85% reduction in the pain. And the pain I would feel was very, very like electrical and burning. I mean, it was a very noticeable pain. So to have an absence of about 85% of that type of pain was truly miraculous. And, you know, just feeling like my body became more flexible and agile, that I could sit, you know, without having a lot of pain, that I could go about my day-to-day living and not constantly be aware of it, you know, that it was always present. So now I had a break from it. And I thought, oh my goodness, I can't believe I had been living like this for so many years. And not realizing again that I was carrying all these unconscious beliefs that weren't healing through other methodologies, you know, such as exercise and meditation, working with different energy modalities, acupuncture, acupressure, getting massages to try to work the body out. I mean, all sorts of things that I've tried, taking anti-inflammatory supplements to try to work on the pain. So, you know, as Jenny mentioned, I've also been in the health and wellness arena for, you know, decades. And so coming across your work, Dr. Olga, was just transformational, because I think a missing piece was working with those unconscious beliefs that were tied to that generational line and an intra-generational line. So once we were able to access that and work on releasing that and allowing through the process, you know, new solutions to arise spontaneously and naturally, then I, you know, got this amazing relief. And it stayed with me, you know, that high percentage of pain relief stayed with me for months. And I still have a great reduction in pain. It does fluctuate a little bit. But of course, that's having a body, you know, we will experience pain from time to time. But the 85% reduction was just amazing, you know. And again, that was one session that we worked on it. So I would imagine that because I did have something so chronic and deep and embedded over many years, that there's more layers that I'm probably still will need some work on releasing and working with the unconscious mind. but certainly a huge significant part transformed rapidly, which I'm very happy to share that, especially for a lot of people who might have chronic pain and other illnesses where they haven't been able to find relief for very long.
Thank you, Lisa. And I have some comment. First of all, you had only, I looked it up, 6 group sessions.
Yes.
And on pain specifically, we did not work every time because we worked on different issues. Yes, if some symptoms still there, it means some other unconscious programs cause them, and possibly you need to do more work. And unresolved trauma and stress response in body, they create cortisol, adrenaline, and they can create inflammation in body. Yes. And also, I would like to call what we're working on unconscious programs, not beliefs. Beliefs are very hard to identify what they are, because we worked on unconscious programs like deeper, bigger structure that influence nervous system. That nervous system responds with flight, fight, or freeze responses and can create many issues. And in any area, any other systems, and muscles, ligaments, anywhere, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
That's right. Yes, all of those. And so I just really thrilled that, like we mentioned, and even in just one session and working on it, that it was so dramatically different. And I'm sure with some, additional work on those programs, unconscious programs, I'm sure there'll be even more changes.
Thank you, Lisa. And would you like to share something else? Or
Sure.
Yes.
Yes. So as Dr. Olga mentioned, I haven't done as many sessions as some of your other clients, but I was able to work on another issue that's also been very long-standing and unfortunately chronic as well, which is insomnia and having trouble falling asleep. And when I do fall asleep, it's very interrupted. So maybe I, wake up 6 or 7 times within the night. So it's never that restful because I'm not really able to get into those really deep sleep cycles. And so I presented that to our group that I worked on. And we, I think, really uncovered some very interesting unconscious programs that again related back to generational issues of having, family members who lived through wartime where they had to get up, I'm sure, in the middle of the night and evacuate and move and not have a place to really rest and lay down and sleep. And so all of those energetic signatures and programs, they get passed on to, the descendants. And so here I am having lots of interrupted sleep and realizing that it's all connected. And so after working with Dr. Olga, again, just one time, I was able to probably say have 50% improvement, which again is significant because I'm still having some times where I wake up during the night, but it's about 50% less. And then when I used to wake up in the mornings, I would be very exhausted from not having, sleep in the deeper REM cycles. And I would just feel tired to my bones, I think I once described in the group. And now I can, even if I don't have a full night's sleep, when I wake up in the morning, I do feel better. I feel a bit more refreshed and rested than I used to. And I'm not as, exhausted as I used to feel. When I would wake up, sometimes I'd feel like I hadn't had any sleep. So that was really helpful because as Jenny, I'm also running my own business and have a lot of responsibilities to take care of. And so having, a sense of more rest at night, being able to get up and not already feel like, oh boy, I don't know if I can make it through the day, has been really huge for me. and has really helped me in all areas of my life. So I'm really excited to continue working on, other layers of that. But yes, big improvement, and sleep is so important. So I'm really glad that we were able to work on that topic as well.
Thank you, Lisa. And sleep issues, they are more complex often, multi-causal, and definitely often it takes more than one session to resolve them. And I had so many clients with different kind of sleep issues, and they got fast results. Only it takes more than one unconscious programs cause it. It takes some time. And some of them, somehow they recalled that sense what happened genealogically. Often there was some kind of wars or attacks. And interestingly enough, how they experience the issue waking up, often as waiting during dark times for an attack. Even it was no attack, something is going to happen, completely alert, awake, waiting for something bad to happen. Isn't it interesting?
Yes, it is very interesting. Absolutely.
Thank you. And Lisa, would you like to share something else, or that's it for now?
Just wanted to say that I'm so glad that this work is available to people, especially again, those that may feel, pretty hopeless, that they've tried many different things and they haven't had lasting success, or maybe they have some improvement, but then it reverts back to an old pattern. And like you said, Dr. Olga, you're really working on a permanent switch, because these unconscious programs are just no longer going to run as you take care of them by going through each layer of them. And I think that's really great. And I really love the methodology, because it really, I like the phrase, it leaves no stone unturned. You're going to get to the root through the process and the methodology. So I'm really glad that it's an option for people to understand that they have this wonderful way to feel better, have happier lives, to feel lifted from burdens, and to just know that, they're empowered to do so. They have the ability within, through some help with professionals like yourself. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And Kelani, the same question. What issues, problems did you work on during sessions, and what positive shifts did you experience after the sessions?
So I had really bad anxiety. I had panic attacks pretty much from day to day, multiple times a day. And we worked on anxiety and the panic attacks. I think we did 6 sessions on that altogether. And even after the first 2, it was so much improvement that my panic attacks are actually maybe once a couple days or once a couple weeks. But yeah, that was really, really nice. And now I don't have any problems with that. And it's such a great feeling to be able to enjoy life and not have anxiety on my shoulders. And I also had really bad separation anxiety as well. But Dr. Olga got rid of that within 2 sessions. Another difficulty I had was I had trouble comprehending what people were saying. I could hear them and I could see them talking, but I couldn't understand what they were saying to me. And I expressed that with Dr. Olga, and she fixed it in 2 sessions as well. And now I have no problems communicating or understanding. I can have full-on conversations and be present in that conversation 100%. I also had very low stamina. I'd have to go to school for 8 hours, and I'd come home and I'd have to sleep for 3 hours after school. I'd have to eat a lot because my body was just taking so much energy trying to get through those 8 hours a day. And I think we worked on it like 3 sessions, and it's 100%. I can go 8 hours, no problem. And like Jenny, I, around my family, felt alone. Like I had a void inside me. I couldn't feel happy. I felt left out. And that was a big problem for me. But I expressed that with Dr. Olga, and in one session it was gone. So yeah, that's the main issues that I had that Dr. Olga fixed.
Thank you, Kelani. And some unconscious programs, as I mentioned before, can create a lot of neuromuscular locks. And also, even for thought formations, not allow, like how nerve cells are functioning, to form, for example, clear, complete thoughts. Like in your case, you don't have it anymore. You can easily form thoughts and express them verbally, right, Kelani?
Correct, yep.
And also, I remember the same neuromuscular locks created the issue for your esophagus. It was hard to swallow food. Do you remember?
Yep.
Like it was kind of stuck there. Would you like to talk about that?
So I don't know what caused it, but
unconscious programs caused it.
Yeah.
Neuromuscular locks.
But I'd be eating with family or eating with friends, and I'd just be sitting there, and then I'd choke on my food. And even sitting here at home eating lunch or supper, I couldn't eat. My body wouldn't let me, and I don't know, it felt like a big rock was in my throat and it couldn't get past it. But yeah.
And now it's gone, right?
Correct. It's completely gone.
Well, I'm so glad to hear. Neuromuscular locks are not there anymore, and food can easily to pass through. And also, I remember you have a very interesting symptom, kind of a sense burning inside out, getting very hot. Do you remember?
Very faintly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You had kind of look like a fire inside, feeling uncomfortable. And it's not there anymore, right?
No.
Because some unconscious programs, I had clients with similar experiences, can create certain chemistry in your body and create the symptoms, either to feel very cold or too hot inside. And also for some people can create extreme sensitivity to either cold weather or hot weather or both. And interestingly enough, you felt burning inside, but your hands, I remember, were very cold and kind of purple color.
Yep.
And you don't have it anymore, right?
No.
I had so many clients who experienced the same. Even when it was warm, they were cold. They felt cold. Hands or feet or body or all, and not anymore now. So many people. Because unconscious programs even can create these issues. It's so amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I actually did have an intolerance for the heat, but that is gone as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That too. And also, I don't remember, sorry about that. Did you mention about headaches you had constantly?
Yeah, it was kind of just like it always, like an aching feeling at the back of my neck or at the temples. I had that from day to day, and I also had dizziness like that from day to day too, but they're both completely gone.
It's truly, and even nausea because of dizziness.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear. And you had only 17 sessions to achieve so many results.
Right. Yeah.
You work so fast. And I remember also you were uncomfortable about people you don't know, you did not know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not anymore, right?
Nope.
Yes.
It's much better. Like with the career that I'm in, I have to be willing to jump out and talk to my clients and give them advice and all that. So before I saw you, I had trouble with that, but now it's pretty easy and I don't have a whole lot of issues with it anymore.
Great. And I even remember some unconscious program affected your central nervous system, creating kind of white noise in the head. It was very distracting for you and hard to study. Do you remember?
Yep. Yeah.
And it was gone very fast.
I think that was within 2 sessions. Yeah.
Yes. And now you can focus more profoundly, right? And listen and be present.
Right. Yep.
And so many unconscious programs can affect people mentally, physically, emotionally, in any possible way. And for you, Kelani, how this work is different from whatever you tried before? Because I believe you tried something to help yourself, right? Before.
Right. We did CBT. It's kind of like pressure points in your body. But I feel like your method is much more intense and much more, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I always doubted the methods before I used this, but with you, I didn't because I saw results.
And my question is, how fast did you experience the results after sessions? For example, after hours, days, weeks?
After some of the sessions, I'd see improvements within a couple of hours, and at most, I'd see within a week. Like, I always saw change within a week, and if I never saw it, it was crazy because I don't know how to explain it, but from anywhere within a couple of hours to a couple of days.
Thank you. And the results, are they long-lasting and permanent in some cases? Because you did not get them back, right?
Correct. Yep.
Thank you. And how about you, Jenny? How fast did you experience results after sessions? And are they long-lasting?
Some of the results were definitely, I would notice them, like I would wake up the next morning after the session and I would feel physical changes, like my ligaments getting tighter or like my abs getting stronger. And then like the more of the changes in my life and my relationships, I would see over the course of like 2 weeks, but they were such profound changes that, you know, it's just like someone waved a magic wand, like, bam. So
thank you. How about you, Lisa?
Yes, so particularly with the chronic pain, I noticed the reduction, I believe it was the very next day. So within, 24 hours, I felt such relief. It was just unbelievable. And, it lasted and lasted and lasted. So that was very quick for me with that particular issue. And then for the sleep, I think that was more of a little bit of a longer integration with the change over about a week and a half. So again, pretty quickly for that one as well.
Thank you. And my next question, Lisa, for you and for everyone, did you learn new things about yourself, about your unconscious patterns during our sessions? And is this work interesting for you or fascinating?
Absolutely. I certainly learned new things about myself and just the power that unconscious patterns and programs can play without necessarily us always being aware of them until we do work like this through your methodology. I really love how you ask us to engage in more than one way, such as using drawings that we aren't thinking about. We're just allowing our bodies to move through and see what comes on the page. And Dr. Olga, your ability to interpret those images is just unbelievable. You're just have a gift to do that and to really be able to read into what we show you and to be able to identify. So we might come up with an issue. I might say, I want to work on the fact that I don't sleep well. And then you'll be able to distill it down to the root. And I think that's really where it gets so powerful because, you know, it's such a big umbrella of problems that can fall under not sleeping well. But when we have this more distinct root and the way that we can work on the unconscious level is just phenomenal. So yes, I find it fascinating. I find it just groundbreaking. I don't know of anyone else who's doing something like this that I'm aware of. And I just feel like it's really the future for people who want to have the deepest levels of healing in so many areas of life. I don't really see where it wouldn't fit into somebody's healing, process. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Actually, it's your unconscious mind doing interpretation of the drawing, because in a drawing, it's all unconscious patterns and programs. I'm just asking questions and all information is coming from you, from your unconscious mind. And
well, you're an excellent facilitator then.
Thank you. Also, I do not fix or cure. It's your unconscious mind is healing you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jenny, did you learn new things about yourself, your unconscious patterns? And is this work interesting, fascinating for you?
I definitely learned a lot. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that so many of the emotions and patterns that I came into this life with actually don't belong to me. And it came from my ancestors. But knowing, just knowing the number of wars that my members of my family have lived through, and the challenges and difficulties and traumas that war has created, it's no wonder now that I understand this, that I lived with so many, discomforts that I couldn't identify the origins of until we did this work. I definitely find it very fascinating, and I would absolutely love to learn how to do this work. So yeah. Every single person I talk to about it is fascinated. Yeah. Because I think it resonates with everyone, it's like we all kind of know that there's more, than our experiences in this lifetime.
Thank you. And what I said before, unconscious programs are forming as a result of genealogical trauma, even wound trauma, and childhood, all the above. Thank you, Jenny. Kelani?
Yeah, I did learn a lot about me and my body and how quickly the mind and the unconscious part of it can heal itself. I find what you do very, very fascinating and very mind-blowing at how you even figured out how to do this. It's inspiring.
Thank you, Kelani. It took me many, many years. And I created this methodology as a result of combining several modalities. Thank
Very
you.
cool.
Thank you. And everybody, thank you so much for participating in this webinar.